You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps and standing updates from Sunday, April the 12th, 2020. Starting with this interleague series, the Pittsburgh Pirates were able to win a game against the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles had won the first two in the series. Pirates were able to score 5 runs in the 6th inning despite giving up 4 runs in the 4th. And came away 6-5 after scoring an extra run in the 7th. Chris Archer now with 2 wins on the season. He's 2-1 now. Paul Fry got the loss out of the bullpen, and Keone Kela now with 5 saves as Pirates closer. This American League game saw the Blue Jays come out on top 4-3. Blue Jays scored 3 runs in the 5th inning, and the Royals responded with their own 3 runs in the 6th. But the Blue Jays tacked on 1 in the 8th and secured the win with a Ken Giles save in the top of the 9th. Giles now with 5 saves on the season with the Blue Jays. American League Central matchup, the Chicago White Sox beat the Minnesota Twins 10-9. White Sox went up 7 runs through the first 4 innings, but the Twins responded in the 5th with 9 runs. Went up 9-7 going to the 9th inning, but Taylor Rogers took the mound and blew another save this season, gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, and the White Sox were able to come back and win 10-9. Rogers now has 4 blown saves on the season, and those have accumulated to 4 losses on his record you see there. Jace Fry got the win out of the bullpen with the White Sox. Cleveland Indians, Tampa Bay Rays played each other. And some 2s were thrown back and forth there. The Rays just put up one more 2 spot than the Indians did, won 4-2. Blake Snell got the win on the mound. He's 2-1. Oliver Perez got the loss out of the bullpen. He's 1-2 now. And Nick Anderson, 5 saves as the Rays closer. More American League Baseball. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim and the Detroit Tigers played each other. Each put up a 2 spot early, but in the 6th inning, the Angels put up a 3 spot. Scored 5 runs on 8 hits and won. The Tigers scored 2 runs on 7 hits and lost. Shohei Ohtani got his first win of the year, and Hansel Robles now with 4 saves as the Angels closer. The Athletics won Game 3 of this series by a score of 11-9. Much offense. You see all those crooked numbers spattered around the scoreline there at the top of your screen. And in the 9th inning, it was 9-5 going to the bottom of the 9th. And the Athletics were able to come back and score 6 runs. Aroldis Chapman gave up a walk-off home run. He now has 2 losses on the season. Joakim Soria got the win out of the bullpen. He's 2-0. More American League Baseball. The Seattle Mariners beat the Boston Red Sox 10-2. And that more thanks to a 9-run 5th inning. Mariners scored 10 runs on 12 hits. The Red Sox only got 2 runs despite getting 13 hits. Nathan Eovaldi now 0-3 on the season. The Red Sox continuing to struggle, and with the Mariners win, the AL West continues to stay competitive. Here's an AL West matchup between 2 of the top teams in that division, and the Houston Astros came out on top 4-2. Valdez got the win. Lyles got the loss. Roberto Ozuna now with 6 saves as the Astros closer. Moving over to the National League East, the Atlanta Braves came out on top of the Miami Marlins 9-8. Took 11 innings to complete this game, and the Braves got 9 runs on 12 hits, committed an error, and the Marlins scored 8 runs on 20 hits and didn't win the game. Darren O'Day got the win out of the bullpen. Stephen Tarpley got the loss. Will Smith now with 4 saves as the Braves closer, and this is his first season as a part of the Atlanta Braves. NL Central game that featured the Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals, and all it took for the Cubs was to score those 5 runs in the 5th inning. The other 2 runs were tacked on in different parts of the game, but 7-1 was the final, and very simply, Yu Darvish got the win. He's undefeated in his decisions, and Jack Flaherty got his first loss of 2020. More National League Baseball. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the Cincinnati Reds 5-4. That's not going to bode well for the Reds, who are already at the bottom of the NL Central. But the Phillies will continue to stay in the middle ground of the NL East. Nick Pivetta got the win. Mike Lorenzen got the loss. And Hector Neris now with 5 saves as the Phillies closer. Mets Brewers. Brewers won 4-3. Corey Knebel got the win out of the bullpen. Seth Lugo with the loss. Josh Hader is on fire this season. He was the closer of the Brewers because Corey Knebel started the year on the injured list, but Hader not losing that spot anytime soon. He has 8 saves on the season. Doing well. Rockies Diamondbacks. These two played each other. This is a National League West matchup. Robbie Ray got the win and Jeff Hoffman got the loss. Game was decided in the middle when the Diamondbacks scored 5 runs. Rockies were only able to score a couple in the 8th. But the Diamondbacks responded and scored one of their own. Rockies continue to fall further south in the NL West. And they were already in a deep hole to begin with, and this loss won't help considering that the Rockies and Diamondbacks are the 4th and 5th teams in their division. So the Diamondbacks will continue to climb, and the Rockies further down in the hole they've dug themselves in to start the year. Nationals Dodgers. A rematch of the 2019 NLDS. The Nationals won this game 6-3. Tanner Rainey got the win. Dylan Floro got the loss. Sean Doolittle now has 7 saves on the season. This game went into extras, tied at 3, but the Nats were able to score 3 runs in the top of the 10th inning and not go too deep into extra innings. And another NL West game that featured the Padres and the Giants. Giants won the first 2 games of this series, but the Padres won Game 3 and remain at the top of the NL West. These 2 teams are in first and second place. The Padres in first, the Giants in second. So this was a meaningful series. And although the Giants lost this game, the Giants winning the first 2 games have major implications on the NL West going forward. The Padres don't have as large of a lead as they did before this series began. Padres scored 4 runs in the 6th, and that really helped them to win this one. The Giants could only score 4 runs, and that was sprinkled out throughout the whole game. Chris Paddock got the win. Johnny Cueto got the loss, and Kirby Yates now with 7 saves on the year. He's doing very well for the Padres as their closer. Let's go take a look at the standings. Starting in the AL East. This became a tight race. The Yankees were breaking away, but not anymore. After losing 2 of 3 games in the series against the Athletics, the Yankees stalled out at 9-7, and that allowed the Blue Jays and the Rays to tie them for first place in the AL East. And the Orioles not too far behind with an 8-8 record. A team that didn't win more than 55 games in each of the last 2 seasons is competing in the division early. And despite losing today, they're 1 game back in the division. Red Sox, the odd team out in this division, 6.5 games out. Lost most recently to the Mariners, and they're stuck at 3 wins in 17 games, 6.5 games out of the AL East. Slow start for the Red Sox. To the American League Central, this division getting more interesting. Started out with a tie between the White Sox, Twins, and Indians for this top spot. The White Sox were able to break away. Didn't get on any large winning streaks, but however, managed to break away with an 11-4 record. Top of the division is where the White Sox are. The Twins are 9-7, 2.5 games out after losing today. The Indians also lost. They're 8-9, 4 games out, tied with the Royals for 3rd place. Royals 7-8, but the winning percentage is close to the same, and they're both 4 games out. And the Tigers on a 6-game losing streak, 9 games out of the division, and the Tigers are stuck at 2 wins through their first 15 games on the year. The Astros in the American League West lead the division 9-6. They're on a 3-game winning streak, but they're closely trailed now by the Athletics, who won 2 of 3 against the Yankees. They're a half game out of the AL West lead. Then you have the Angels, who are on a 4-game winning streak. The Angels were close to the bottom of the division to start the season, but now they're 1.5 games back of the division lead. Mariners close behind. This team started out cold, but had a good series against the Red Sox. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and they're 8-9, 2 games out of the division. And technically they're in last place, but they're tied with the Rangers, who are also 2 games out with a 7-8 record after putting themselves now on a 3-game losing streak. But this division is competitive early. Most of these teams have played 15 or 16 games, so they're close. Wildcard standings still too close to really be prevalent right now, but there's just a visual of how they stand. There are 5 teams tied for a wildcard spot, and everybody else is about a game and a half back of a wildcard spot as of now. To the National League East, the Washington Nationals 10-5 at the top of the division, trailed closely by the Philadelphia Phillies, who are 9-7 and 1.5 games back after beating the Reds today. Miami Marlins lost today. They're 9-8 on the season, 2 games out of the division, and then tied for 4th place. The New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. 7-10 are the Braves, 6-9 are the Mets. This is still a close division, but the Braves the first to 10 losses in the NL East. To the National League Central, a division that continues to stay competitive. The Cardinals, big spot down there. They've lost 5 straight. They're 8-8 now, tied with the Pirates, who beat the Orioles today. The Pirates are 8-8 as well, 2 games back of the division, so they're tied for 3rd place. The Brewers a half game back of the NL Central lead with a 9-6 record on a 2-game winning streak. Cubs on a 3-game winning streak and have taken sole possession at the moment of the NL Central. Again, they're 10-6. And then the Reds, who lost today against the Phillies, are 6-9, 3.5 games back of the NL Central. And then to the NL West, a race right now that features the Padres and the Giants. Padres 12-4 and broke their tiny losing streak that they were on, and they beat the Giants today. But the Giants not too far behind, 10-6, 2 games back of the division. The Padres at most had a 3.5 game lead, but that's shrinking now with the Giants, who have had recent success, and the Giants won 2 of 3 games in that series. So they've drawn closer. The Dodgers on a 2-game losing streak. They're 8-8, 4 games out of the NL West. The Diamondbacks, 4.5 games out, 8-9 record on a 3-game winning streak, but their opponent most recently has been the Colorado Rockies, who are on a 4-game losing streak now and have won 2 games out of 15 to start 2020. They're off to a slow start, 9.5 games out of the NL West. And here are your standings in the National League for wildcard teams. And although it's not very prevalent because everybody has a close record right now, those will become more prevalent as the season continues and when teams start breaking away from each other. But still too early to call and still too early to be crucial. These have been your game recaps and standing updates from Sunday, April the 12th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.